Welcome everyone from the Wall Street Silver community. We have our very, very special friend, Economic Ninja. Ninja where? Oh, there he is. He's ready to go today. Ninja.
Where's the camera? The ninja. Where's the camera?
There's the camera.
How are we doing, guys?
Good. How are you doing today, Ninja?
The ninja's doing great. I got to be honest with you. The ninja was a little tired last night. Got up, did some videos, did a little silver video for the Wall Street Silver crowd, and the ninja's good. The ninja needs his coffee.
We also have Lee Justo and Jim Lewis from the Wall Street Silver community.
Hey, thanks for joining us. This is I've been watching your channel for probably 3 weeks now.
Nice.
Since I first found it, and you do a lot of topics that are not, you touch on precious metals occasionally in it, but you do a lot of just basic, let's call it life hacks for economics, I want to call it. And it's really good stuff. You do these quick little 5, 10 minute, 15-minute videos that just sort of explain it in very common, easy to understand language. And I mean, sort of like we just interviewed a guy, the uneducated economist. He's got a great channel where he really just breaks it down in common, everyday terms and I think that's why he's so popular and why you're so popular. Why is your channel working for you?
Well, that's a great question. Let's take this off so I can get a little serious. First off, it's you say I do these short videos. It's because nobody nobody wants to hear somebody for very long. So that's one of the reasons. Everything I've ever done in my life, I've dove right in, and I just can't stop. And the day I finally decided to do a channel, because some of my business partners said they didn't want me to do a channel because some of the companies I work for are a little bit public, and they didn't want that stigma of somebody out there warning about economics collapses, on the internet. And so finally I said, the heck with it. I literally quit. They didn't take my resignation. And about 6-7 months ago, I said, I'm going to go for this and do it. And I just can't let go. I keep pounding the ground and crushing it. And I just literally watch more successful people than I that do anything in life. And I just emulate them. So when it came to the YouTube channel, I just started doing what they said to do and what they do. And it's interesting that in life, so few people do that. And that's when I started. I wanted to become a millionaire when I was 20. And all I did was find as many multimillionaires as I could and pick their brains and didn't beg them for information. I took them out to lunch, coffee. That's how I met Garrett Sutton years and years ago. And that's how I met Robert Kiyosaki, because I cared about, if I was going to get something from them, then I'm going to give them something for it,
Mm-hmm.
Well, most of your videos get, 10,000 to 25,000, some of them more, 50,000 views. Yeah. What's your favorite topic? I know we want you to say silver, but you talk about a lot of different topics. What's your favorite one these days to really pound on?
That's a great question. So a couple of weeks ago, we did a couple of 250,000 view videos, and that was on inflation. Now, I'm going to sort of bounce around a couple different ways because, of course, you guys want me to say silver. And a lot of my followers understand that I've been a silver bug since 2010, and I just went for it. Everything in my life was about it. I was warning all these people about real estate and economic cycles. And because I'd lived through the last 2 cycles, I actually moved my retirement into the bond market before the .com crash and was very blessed because of it. Wow. And then rebought back into the European stock market back in 2003, and then just rode that wave. Well, I did the same thing in the real estate boom. I was flipping homes like crazy. I saw the crash happening in 2005. I sold all of our assets except for 3, and then warned everybody. And so I'd lived through those, right? And so when I was a silver bug, I was just telling everybody about it and then literally ignoring everything else. I would actually tell people, if you want a quick buck, go buy Bitcoin. And I mean, literally was saying that at $40, $50 Bitcoin and not doing it myself. And I've invested in just about everything. I mean, honestly.
You want to just smack yourself you didn't go invest in Bitcoin or.
Yeah, you know what, though? It's a great learning lesson because a lot of people become staunch supporters of one thing, and that's it. They put those blinders on, and I was guilty of that. Now, up until 2010, I'd invested in stocks, real estate. I'd even become an accredited investor just to go invest in actual oil wells. And so when I get into something, I just go for it. And I missed out on the opportunity of understanding how important it is to be diversified. But then there's one thing to be diversified, but then to be diversified in too many things, so I always try and teach people to stay in between 4 and 5 projects, period, so that you can stay abreast of the current situation and knowledge that it takes to be successful. Well, silver, man, I was just head down, crushing it. And it wasn't until I got into crypto that I really started to wake up, because the reasons why I loved silver is why I loved crypto. And that's why it broadened my horizons. So when it comes to the YouTube channel, I wanted to do a broad understanding for people, give them that broad understanding of all kinds of things that affect cycles. And the inflation story right now is a huge one. And that's drawing a lot of people in. And there's so many of my subscribers that go, hey, pound them on, tell them about this is all we want to see. And I go, if I tell them all about one subject, I can't bring them into the understanding of why they want to know about that subject, if that makes sense. So that's why I briefly touch on all these different things. Everything I talk about, I'm invested huge in, not only my time, but my money. And so I like to just not hammer people on one topic. I like to gain their trust through hopefully good work, and then bring them into the understanding of why you want to look at certain crypto projects, why you want to look at buying gold and silver. Why would you even want to own it? What does it feel like when you touch it and hold it, and same thing with real estate. Everything has its time and its day. And that's what gets me excited about what you guys are doing.
Well, I want to thank you so much for mentioning us on your channel. I've seen some of the videos. It's great. Makes me smile every time. but I'd like to ask you about the broader economy. I mean, there's just so much going on right now. I mean, we have the markets going off to like new highs, and then we had Bitcoin hit a new high in, I think it was the 14th of April, and it hasn't been back up since. We have the Fed. They're all over the place. They're kind of jawboning the market down. Meanwhile, they're just flooding it with liquidity. I mean, what's your broad take on everything?
So that's a great point, what you make about jawboning and then flooding with liquidity. First off, people need to understand that the Fed will not act before something happens. And the easy way to explain that is because they don't want to get blamed. Okay. They also don't want to incite a crisis. And we understand they have their own motives, right? They want to strengthen the dollar and keep people down in debt. That is just a fact. If they would have moved too soon in 2006, remember Ben Bernanke that's a great example of what's going on right now. He was out there on a monthly basis addressing the nation, telling them that there was nothing to worry about, that there was not an issue in the real estate market. There were a couple of bad banks that misbehaved. Don't worry, we've gotten on top of it. And he was quoted as saying, it is impossible to see real estate across the board fall at the same time. All right. Now we're seeing the exact same thing right now, where we're seeing jawboning, and every month now we have not only Jerome Powell, but now the Treasury Secretary, which was our head of our Fed, saying there's nothing to worry about. This inflation is transitory. It's going to be okay. Well, that's when you know it's not going to be okay. Honestly. And it's like, and I'm going to be honest with you, there is a lot of idiots out in this world, but I'm trying, and I know you guys are trying to show them the way, but the facts are most of them are not going to pay attention to you. They're not going to care. And then they're going to panic, like what we're seeing as they panic into real estate. And because they think, oh, it's a good idea, when really you should be running for the hills. Mm-hmm. But this is unlike any cycle I have ever read about. I mean, that's it to say. Now, the closest thing I can see this to is the Depression of 1920, because of its relation to, ironically, the 1918 Spanish flu, which most people don't even understand. You would be shocked at how many people, as I was talking about the Depression of 1920, would come in there and go, Ninja, sorry, you have it wrong. It was the 30s. I go, no, you have it wrong. That was created by a massive monetary stimulus that was put out in 1920 because of a flu in 1918. That's the closest thing we have to this. However, we've never had interest rates this low. And I believe they're going to go into negative territory, which is going to create, the crazy people are going to get that much crazier. And you're about to see this bubble blow up so big that it is going to absolutely blow your minds. And it sucks because as silver investors, they're the ones that are the last to the party. And I just did a video that I'll be putting out on Wall Street Silver in a couple of days about the underdog and how important it is to be understanding of what the underdog stands for. And I look at silver as the underdog, and it's tough to be the underdog, but what's great about it is everybody counts the underdog out. until the underdog completely wipes you off the planet. And I think that's what's about to happen.
So what you're saying is you're going to see real estate go through, like, to the stratosphere, equity markets go to the stratosphere, bond market. People have been buying bonds like crazy for the past couple of weeks.
Yep. And well, so yes, I do. And this is why. For every dollar that's printed right now, approximately 90% of it goes into the wealthiest hands. About 10% is being sprinkled out. It's like the Marie Antoinette moment where it says, she says, let them eat cake, right? Because they have no clue what tomorrow brings. But here, give them their little pittance. And ironically, what we saw, that pittance last spring in the hands of some traders on Wall Street bets, really shook the markets. And that really got me excited, even though I think there's some nefarious stuff behind the scenes. But I think that all of that stimulus, the reason why people are diving into bonds is because people are trying to get yield. They're trying to get anything they can. But I think that we're about to see, now this is just the total layman's thoughts. I believe we're seeing the bond market starting to really fracture right now. And the reason why those rates are going up, and the Fed's in a very serious situation right now, because as those rates rise on the 10-year, people can't afford that real estate. They can't keep pumping that up. And so they have to be in a position where they force those percentages down. And I believe they're waiting just for some kind of correction in the markets to where they can be justified in saying, as the people beg for more stimulus or beg for more monetary easing, that they can drop those rates into negative territory for a little bit. And that'll just cause that much more of a frenzy, because people like me will be borrowing money at pretty much nothing and going and buying real assets.
I see the same thing happening myself. I just question which assets they are. If you look at Venezuela or Zimbabwe and their stock markets, in the middle of their currency collapse, their stock markets are going through the roof. But, you know, how do you value these things? Do you be a stock picker? Do you do an index fund?
About a year ago, I was talking to people about Venezuela's stock market, because in a 2-year period, it rose over 9,000%. But if you took the Venezuelan stock market and compared that to their food had raised more on a percentage basis than their stock market. What was happening is people were diving into the stock market just to try and save the purchasing power of their money, right? Well, we also saw a spike in gold and silver, primarily gold in Venezuela. I believe that you're going to see the same thing today. See, we all know about that picture from Weimar, Germany, where the old man was wheelbarrowing the pile of cash, right? The thing that nobody ever asked, they go, wow, that's crazy. The thing that nobody ever asked is the one question you should be asking: how did he get the pile of cash? Okay. Now, I'll give you an example. That monetary stimulus that came in Weimar was because they were literally on a monthly basis changing the notes from 1,000 marks to 10,000 marks to 1,000,000 marks, and they just kept going up, right? And so what happened is there was because a lot of people say, I want to inflate the debt away. And I said, well, usually wages do not catch up with inflationary events unless we're talking about hyperinflationary events. And even though your boss is not going to want to give you a raise because they can barely make it during a literal collapse of a currency, what happens is the government steps in and go, we'll give you the money. And that's what we're seeing right now. We're about to cross over that precipice of universal basic income. It's going to happen. And what's going to happen is it's going to shove all this money, this just crap paper in your hands. And that is going to be off to the races. People are going to be trying to find a way to save their purchasing power. And the sad thing is that we could easily go back and look. And I used to tell people this a year and a half, 2 years ago, that if you'll just buy a canned good, a thing of canned corn, the value of that canned corn will go up on a percentage basis quicker than the stock market. And it already has. Wow. A canned corn in my town has gone up almost 40% over the last 2 years. Has the stock market gained that much? No, it hasn't. So, and the thing is, I think we're going to see those distortions even worse. So that's the problem. And I think that people are going to dive into some very interesting things. Well, let's put it this way. Do I believe Bitcoin's going to 250,000 this year? Yeah. And the reason why I believe it is because all the big boys are saying it, which means that's where the big boys are putting their money, right? But on a percentage basis, with Bitcoin sitting around 55 right now to 250,000, you're like, okay, what is that? A 5X? Okay. Well, then what can some of these other assets like silver do once they break? I mean,
Yeah.
We're already seeing the craziest distortion of paper to physical that we've ever seen in our lives. And we're seeing, because of you guys, the first time people have organized on the internet in this size to actually bring the truth. So that's where I'm looking for. But the problem is a lot of silver bugs, I always tell them, if you're so staunch on silver and you're not looking at a couple other areas that you can just put a little bit of money into, and then when that explodes, think about how much more metal you can buy. No, so a lot of people don't understand the difference between street name recognition and how stocks are actually, actual ownership of a share. And it's very scary because there's so many derivatives. And Keith Neumeyer's done such a great job of blowing that story, out into the mainstream of stock manipulation. And I think there is a day of reckoning coming. And I believe they're going to try and jump on the blockchain because of, this serious problem. Because people want to speculate in the miners, but the problem is we don't know the day that everybody wakes up, like in 2008 when Lehman collapsed, and goes, oh crap, there's a problem, and everything becomes worthless. The stock market collapsed by 50%, but I had a company, one of the companies I'm a part of had gotten their Series A financing, it was funding, it was about $25 million. 2 weeks before Lehman, they got the check. They didn't cash the check, they put it in the bank. Next week, finalize all the documents, but the check never truly cleared because within a couple of weeks, that hedge fund was completely gone, just completely obliterated. Wow. And we literally have seen in the last 2 months, a couple of family offices, a hedge fund that their net worth equals Bear Stearns when it collapsed. And we just saw them just be obliterated. And people are just going, everything's fine. And I go, no, we're in truly the greatest collapse in Earth's history. Wow. We just don't know when the day of panic happens, when the stupid money runs down to the bank and goes, I should go buy some gold or I should go buy some food. We just don't know when that's going to come.
I'm thinking we've also got, we're probably going to have another Bernie Madoff moment. All these scams tend to happen in these massive bubbles because people overlook what they probably shouldn't be overlooking in terms of doing their own personal due diligence. And that's what I'm looking for right now is the next big Ponzi scheme that gets exposed, just like Bernie Madoff was, when people start asking more questions than can be answered. That's when those things come to light.
Okay, so I'll jump in. So you made one of the questions about why am I getting more views than not? Where is the crowd leaning towards? That inflation story is massive because I read through all of my comments, and I'll tell you what, there's some amazing comments, but there's also some stupid comments, right? And I'll tell you
that was me.
Okay, sweet. Well, then thank you for being the one that says lumber's not going to crash. It's going to keep going up. And I go, how stupid. I mean, you think about this and people are like, you can't call people stupid. I'm like, hopefully it pisses them off enough to where they try and prove me wrong. And then hopefully if they can't, they go, oh man, I'm going to do something about it. Because you think about it, we've seen tulip manias. We've even seen an emu mania in our country's history, right? Where the cost of emus going up because emus are going to die. Well, who wants that bird? But they're going to bid it all up. Well, look at where it ended up. Someday the price gets so high, and it's already happening with lumber. Why would I build a deck for that much? I don't need that shed that bad. Yeah. And what happens is all of a sudden the buyers dry up. Well, guess what happens? Because I hate to tell you, there's still truckloads of lumber all over the place and trains full of it. And they're going to go, oh crap, we need to drop our prices. And that's what happens with every bubble. It happened in 2006 with the real estate bubble, and it just blows me away when that supply demand dynamic. And I think that it's absolutely amazing that so many people are diving into YouTubes and these different platforms right now to get answers. And it's quite humbling, the amount of support I've gotten on my channel and people that I have so many people that say, I literally just bought my first ounce. I had a single mom say it took everything I got to save up $800. And I bought $800 worth of silver. Thank you. Nice. And I'm just like, dude, well, not only are you just now ahead of most of the nation because you have more than $500 in your savings, but you've put it in an asset that like less than 1% of the human race even owns and understands why it's important to put it in your hand. So we are seeing quite a revolution right now.
Well, we just interviewed Simon from The Uneducated Economist. Literally just ran it the other day. So if anyone's interested, go check our videos. And he is he has been tracking the lumber market for years.
Yeah.
And he is just like coming to his moment in the past few weeks where he knows that market inside and out. And he was explaining in our interview with him, what's happened recently is all the salvage logs from Canada have just dried up. That whole situation they had with infestations, which made so much available lumber in recent years, it's all gone now. The mills have shut down in those areas, and it's just created, he doesn't think lumber is necessarily inflation. He thinks it's more of a supply-demand imbalance right now.
I will tell you this. I believe that we're seeing something, we're seeing more of a panic than a supply issue. I do see those videos where people are filming the lumberyards that are at max capacity. I have tons of people commenting on my channel that they work for lumberyards. They work in the transit system of moving lumber, and they're saying, no, we've got the lumber. And what's sad is that this is, I believe, akin to the fuel crisis, the oil crisis of the late 70s, where all of a sudden people weren't allowed to get fuel every day. It went off of the last digit of your license plate, and you could only get it on certain days of the week. And it was because oil had dried up. When in all reality, later on, it was found out. Oh, perfect. Okay, cool. So I got all scared. I'm like, what's going on, man? So what we found out later was that there was a lot of full oil tankers off the shore just over the horizon, and they were just waiting for the prices to go up. And then they came in and started dumping their loads. We've seen this with JP Morgan, where they were caught, filling up grain silos of grain, massive warehouses where they're speculating on grain prices. This was 8 years ago, I believe. And this happens normally. Well, nowadays we have something called Google Earth, and I could go and check where all the tankers are and all of the supply ships are and see where these bottlenecks are, where we didn't have that kind of ability in the past. Well, these are the same games, and the facts are they know they can get away with them because they know most people don't care, and even if they cared, they are not going to do anything about it.
Now, Ninja, do you think that the Fed will actually roll out like a worldwide crypto to try to crush Bitcoin, or are they going to support Bitcoin?
No, so it's already been done. So that's what's crazy. Back in 2017, I read the white paper on the Federal Reserve's version of the digital dollar. And it was really interesting because the portion of the code when it comes to inflation was blurred out, and they say it's proprietary. I get it, right? But you also know what they're going to do with it. And they are going to roll it out. As a matter of fact, I did a video last August saying that I wouldn't be surprised if it came out in a couple of weeks, and it did. Jerome made an announcement saying that it was the famous announcement, we don't want to just rush into this. Well, it's because he had to come out and just quail the fire because everybody knew that they were coming out with it. And China obviously beat us to it. It was amazing to watch the rollout of their digital currency and how they did it and how they got everyone sucked in. And the facts are they've already set up the narrative. The narrative being we're trying to get the stimulus to you. We've seen this all last year. We're trying to get it to you, but there's issues. Oh, sorry, we were supposed to get it to you too, but there was a problem in the check writing portion, or sorry, it didn't get all the mailboxes. Oh, there's all these issues, right? And they're building a narrative to where all they're going to do is, hey, we got a solution. All you got to do is grab your phone. We got a free app, and if you want, we'll just put money on your app.
It's a digital wallet.
A digital wallet. Yeah, it's already done. It's already been built. Everybody has one. And I'm going to tell you what, they're going to do it. I'm going to go download it. I'm going to take the money and do something with it, do something good with it. Right. But the problem is now they've got you, and they've always got the public when they give them something for nothing. I mean, we've seen that throughout ages. That's how, certain politicians get, hired. They go, hey, we'll do all this. And then you go, yeah, we vote for you. And then they don't do it. Right. Or, I don't remember who it was. Was it Thomas Jefferson that said, once the people understand they can vote themselves prosperity, democracy is over. Mm-hmm. It's something like that, but it's a true statement. And so when we're talking about the digital dollar, they're absolutely going to do it. And the sad thing is what they're doing is they're taking the true blockchains and they're buying it all up. Really? And that's why it's been moving up lately. Like a lot of people, they think they own something, like on Robinhood, they're like, hey, I got Bitcoin. I'm like, you don't have Bitcoin, you have a derivative. You can't even take it off of Robinhood. Dogecoin is racing up, and Dogecoin has no max cap. They can print it to infinity, and each year it has an inflation rate. They just print more of them. And you go, well, how can that be going up and Bitcoin isn't going up as much? And they said, because there's a hype around it. There is a panic. And most of the purchases, it's not even of Dogecoin. It's absolutely mind-blowing to me that they wouldn't want something rare, the sad thing is people don't understand, even in cryptocurrency, they're all diving into this. And trust me, I believe Dogecoin is going to keep going up. All right. But there's a point where all of a sudden people figure out all we're doing is chasing dollars essentially. And we could have bought a blockchain that's actually decreasing in the amount that's available every year. And that's what's sad. And that's what's eventually you'll see those blockchains explode in value.
Are you invested in blockchain ETFs like in the stock market? Not the actual.
Oh.
No.
What?
Good.
Yeah, sure. I got that and a bunch of SLV in my bathroom right now. I'm wiping my butt with them. I mean, now, okay, I'll tell you what. The only thing I do in the stock market is do puts and options. I do options. And essentially it's to short the market because, at a certain point, it will work. And if I do miners, I do the options market. So I don't own any stocks. I think that's the scariest thing ever because I think that's going to be confetti someday.
Hey, can we delve a little bit back into the Fed coin? You said, it sounded like you said they're tying it into blockchain and buying blockchain. Do you see something where they're going to do like base it on SDR as a blockchain?
Okay, so there's a couple different dynamics here. So first off, the Fed coin is absolutely not a blockchain. It's a digital currency, okay? The blockchain, now it could have a ledger, that's no problem, but the decentralized blockchain is exactly what it says. It's decentralized because that code for like, let's say Bitcoin is ran on all kinds of computers worldwide. Like I can run the code for Bitcoin, I can mine it, and then I get rewarded in Bitcoin for the usage of my computer, my internet, and my electricity.
Nice.
The federal dollar is digital, very similar to like how most dollars are digital right now. It's very, very similar. With a little twist, it could actually ride on top of a blockchain. So let's give XRP as an example, because everybody hates XRP that loves decentralization, but they don't understand what it is. Swift, all Swift is, the Swift code that, when you want to wire money and spend $50 to wire money and then wait around for almost 24 hours sometimes for it to get somewhere. It's a messaging app. And all it does is it messages one bank to another and says, hey, Billy Bob's going to send you $25 and we just charge them $50 to do it. And it's going to get there. We're good. And at the end of the night, we'll settle up. And the other bank goes, sweet. And then I'm going to charge Billy Bob $10 to take the wire. Sweet. And they're just going to keep raping you. XRP built a platform. And they said, look, we built it on a blockchain. So it's all recordable. And it's super blazing fast. And so we can do a trade confirmation in literally 3.5 to 5 seconds. And it's only going to cost you 1/10 of 1 penny. I mean, it's stupid how much it is, right? Now, as the price goes up in XRP, that price changes, but it's a game changer, right? So a lot of people think that XRP would you'd take $1, transfer it into XRP, and then when it shows up at the other bank, it shows up as $1 again, but it's a little different than that. They're actually working to where they take these central bank digital currencies and they ride on top of that messaging app and they transfer back and forth. So it's not a messaging app as far as, hey, Billy Bob just sent you this money. It's boom, Billy Bob just sent you this money in 3 seconds and it's now in your account. There's no settling up at the end of the night. So the digital currencies, they would love to run them themselves. I guarantee you that the Federal Reserve would love to just go, hey, we're good. Just use our digital currency and we've got our own network. And everyone else is going, yeah, right. So we get to trust your centralized servers that you're in control of. It's a con. So a company like Ripple came out and said, look, we'll take this XRP to a whole new level and we'll go get all these other banks on board because one thing most people don't realize, the rest of the world's governments and banks don't like American banks and government because we've been raping the world by exporting our inflation to them for decades and decades, right? So they're like, look, we need something safe. And that's where the SDR came about a long time ago, but it's really being fine-tuned in the last 10 years because these other countries are going, we can't compete with them just printing this money and making our goods less and less valuable. So when I say that the central bank is buying up crypto or governments are buying up crypto, it's a little bit of an interesting way because as of today, still a bank is not allowed to actually go out and buy Bitcoin, all right? They are now allowed, they worked out a way through government means to change the laws and the rules of banking to where they can custody it for you. And that's what they really want to do because they're going to tell you, hey, open up a Bitcoin account at our bank. And then we're going to just charge you fees, right? Because most people don't even want to understand blockchain. They just want to speculate in it. So, hey, we'll hold it for you, even if it's a derivative, and we'll charge you fees for it. And then what they do is they go make money on fees, and then they go around backwards in like the Coinbase IPO, and then they invest in the Coinbase stock. And all they simply have to do now is go to the board and say, okay, this is what we want you to do. All of that Bitcoin you get in fees, yeah, you're not going to sell it. You're going to keep it in your treasury. And now they have direct exposure to the Bitcoin price run up via the stock market, if that makes sense.
Wow.
So they're not out right now, as of right now, directly buying it. I know our central bank is not, at least that's what they're saying, but I do know that there are other central banks in the world that are buying it and straight up investing in cryptocurrency.
Wow.
I can't believe the Coinbase fees. I kind of played around with it this year a little bit, and boy, they eat into your profit like you can't believe if you're trading small, you know?
Yeah, I really don't like Coinbase. I've got an account. I'm not a big fan. They showed their true colors when Bitcoin forked, the Bitcoin Cash fork happened. And it showed the truth of that they didn't have all the Bitcoin, because what happened is all around the world in a nanosecond, the fork happened. And if you held a Bitcoin, you got one Bitcoin Cash. And so if you held your own private keys, your own wallet, literally in a 1 second, you all of a sudden had one Bitcoin Cash. That's what makes the blockchain true and amazing. People don't understand that. They go, "Oh, you could just fork Bitcoin all day long." And I'm like, "No, you're an idiot. That's not just printing Bitcoin. If somebody wants to start a new version of Bitcoin and they fork it, they've got to actually, hey, I've got Bitcoin SV, I got Bitcoin Gold, I got Bitcoin Unicorn. Well, if you think Bitcoin Unicorn is great and you do the fork, the whole code is that, yeah, you've changed the software and you've changed to where it's faster and it's cheaper, blah, blah, blah. You have to, that coin gets sent out to everybody else that currently owns the Bitcoin versions before it. And so that's what people just don't understand. And when that happened, Coinbase said, you know what, we don't trust this whole Bitcoin Cash thing, so we're not going to release it to everybody. And it took months. And you go, well, who gives a crap? I mean, you have it, right? Well, where there's smoke, there's fire. I mean, why would they just say, no, everyone else is like, Binance and all these other exchanges said, yeah, here's your Bitcoin Cash. Like the second it goes off, just look at your Bitcoin Cash wallet and it's just got Bitcoin Cash in there. And right then and there, I knew that Coinbase did not own all the Bitcoin Cash. It didn't own all the Bitcoin. So it didn't have all the Bitcoin Cash to give out to people.
It sure sounds like the synthetic silver market, doesn't it, guys?
Oh, huge.
Thanks for coming on with us, Ninja. Let's, we know you're into silver. We are also, and there's a lot of, we like to have people on our channel that talk about more, silver and how it relates to other commodities and the overall economy. And you sort of bring that to our audience in a really clever and very engaging way. And we definitely want to continue. Let's make this a monthly thing.
Yeah, that would be awesome. You guys are so awesome. Sorry, I just ranted like crazy, but I really appreciate it.
No, we love it. Then I don't have to think of new questions. Just toss up a softball and you hit it out.
There you go. I'll knock it out of the park.
Next time, have a samurai sword ready.
Oh, don't even get me started.
Awesome. Take care, everyone.
Talk to you later, guys.